Trail trekking along former industrial routes. Walk 17, the Stockley Trail. Sunday the 18th of December 2011. And although it's freezing cold outside, No Names and I are off to do the Stockley Trail, but we'll soon warm up once we get moving. The Stockley Trail is a cross-country green route of only a few miles long and passes between Glapwell and Bolsover. It roughly follows part of the route of the once Stockley branch line, an 8.5 mile stretch of railway serving the local collieries of Staveley and Poolsbrook, Duckmanton, Markham, Bolsover, Polston, Glapwell and Plesley, and took the 19th century engineers 25 years to complete. A section of this railway once passed through a tunnel at Rowthorne to the south of Glapwell, but this has been filled, and the remaining line from the southern portal of this tunnel to Plesley is now the Rowthorne Trail of the Phoenix Greenways. What remains of the line from the northern portal of the tunnel to Glapwell, I believe, is now on private land, but the remainder, at least as far as Bolsover from Glapwell, is now the Stockley Trail, although there is talk of lengthening the trail through the once Markham Colliery and coking plant. As none of the line is any longer in use, it would be nice of course to see completion of the trail all the way to Staveley, but we'll see what time brings. At about midday I'm parking the Trekkermobile at Stockley Pond car park, and as soon as I open up the hatchback, No Names as usual is out in a flash and off on his usual roam around dragging the lead and pee on everything. I finally catch him and clip off his lead to let him go. It's absolutely drenched in dog pee. Good job I've got wipes and hand sanitizer on board. Now on our way, and Stockley Pond, through some woodland alongside the car park, is the first thing we find, and apart from a solitary robin, it is lifeless and frozen over. Not surprised about it being frozen, but I was kind of hoping to see more than a solitary robin on the wildlife front. No such luck. However, fishing platforms all around promise a better outlook in the finer weather months. About 20 minutes later, after passing a few smaller ponds and a picnic table or two, the track splits, and not really knowing the correct route, signage could be improved. I've decided on the left. So off we go, gradually uphill along this track, which is solid to start with but becoming wetter the further we go. Not that it matters at present, as it's all frozen solid. To our right, on the far side of the other track, once colliery spoil heaps, which are still black in many places, appear to be the current domain of trial motorcycle riders and bicycle stunt performers. Within 10 minutes we've come to what is effectively the end of this track, but another track alongside the fence crosses here. We're going right, as the track we didn't choose earlier went to the right. This soon proves to be the right choice, and it has become clear that we should have chosen the right fork 10 minutes ago, as that is the main route. A small yellow sign on a fence post is showing us the way, as the descent of the path zigzags below. The view over the nearby countryside around Polston is both quite pleasant and a little surprising. Soon we've crossed a metal bridge, and the path then goes to the right as we follow the course of the River Stockley. The surrounding area is now much more pleasant, and the rippling sound of the river alongside adds to the pleasure, especially as the clouds are moving and the sun is coming out. Marvellous. In no time I've had to put No Names on his lead to cross the lane from Polston to Heath, but he is soon released once we've crossed and are back on the trail. The lane and the trail both cross the river here, and back on the Stockley Trail the River Stockley is now to our left. Soon I catch my first glimpse of Bolsover Castle, high up in its commanding hilltop position a mile or so in front. Soon a suspended pipeline to our left spoils the otherwise pleasant countryside views. Apparently this is the location of some sewers works, so I dread to think what could be moving through this pipeline. The trail here climbs gradually upwards, nothing excessive, and the eyesore pipeline is soon left behind, as the trail levels off and becomes a pleasant country stroll once again. 5 minutes later I've spotted the remains of the once majestic Sutton Scarsdale Hall about a mile to our left. This is located very close to the beautiful hidden Derbyshire village of Heath. The next mile or so of the route is flat and semi-open. With the sun shining and the delightful views over the surrounding countryside, this trail trek is proving to be very pleasant, and Bolsover Castle continues to dominate the hills to our front right. There are many other signposted footpaths crossing the trail along this section, going off to nearby locations such as Heath and Polston, and I vow to have a wander along a few of them in the future. As much as I adore walking along these former industrial routes, now classed as trails, I also have a fondness for countryside walks in general, including non-trail routes. We cross another lane to continue through the squeeze style along the remainder of the trail, and in minutes we are passing a peaceful pond to the right of the trail at Carvale. I have a unique fondness for ponds and lakes, as my previous photos are all testament to, so No Names and I venture off the trail to go around part of this pond for a photo shoot. The pond is frozen over, but fishing platforms and benches around it are a clue to its popularity in the warmer months. After my photo shoot, we continue back onto the trail towards the Peter Fiddler and Carvale reserves. Within 10 minutes, and after a little more trail walking in the beautiful winter sunshine, we have come across Derbyshire Wildlife Trust's Carvale Nature Reserve, sometimes known as Carvale Flash Nature Reserve. This is to our left. Better go and check it out then. This has become a most pleasing detour, and although the large pond of the reserve is frozen over, like the others, it is still home to a large colony of water birds, and judging by the platforms, angling is also a popular pastime here. The path continues on through the remainder of the reserve to bring us to another nature reserve, the Peter Fiddler Reserve. The Peter Fiddler Reserve is a large nature reserve dedicated to the American pioneer Peter Fiddler, who was an important person of the Hudson Bay Company. The reserve is so named because Peter Fiddler was born at Bolsover, close to the site of the reserve, which is now regenerated into a wonderful country park on the site of the former Bolsover Colliery. A cairn on the reserve stands proudly as a monument to the reserve's namesake. A wander through the reserve brings us to a busy car parking area alongside some industrial units for users of the reserve, and the Stockley Trail, which officially starts or ends at this point. After chatting to a few people, No Names and I then get on our way to pass through a squeeze style onto a part of the Stockley Trail we haven't yet discovered so far today. The trail climbs gradually to a picnic table overlooking another of Andrew McEwen's Breaking the Mould sculptures, very similar to the one located at the nearest country park and nature reserve to home, Brierley Forest Park. There are 21 of these sculptures dotted about all over the country, and all on once industrial land that has now been reclaimed and regenerated. After the sculpture, the trail then begins a gradual descent, and we soon come to another squeeze style at the location where we took our earlier detour through Carvale Nature Reserve. So No Names and I have now completed the Stockley Trail. Now we just have to walk back to the awaiting Trekkermobile parked at Stockley Pond. Our return walk, of course, proves to be just as pleasing, and the sun continues to shine all the way back to the start point. As we reach Stockley Pond, less than an hour from exiting the Peter Fiddler Reserve, a Derbyshire County Council Environmental and Countryside Services Land Rover is parked alongside the trail close to Stockley Pond. And a brief venture into the pond area, we are acknowledged by two Derbyshire Countryside Rangers, one of who is vaguely familiar. You see, I used to work voluntary with the service many years ago. A 5-minute chat with them ensues before I hutch No Names up into the Trekkermobile for our ride home and our ruminant cuppers. Verdict. Although some signs of former industry remain along the Stockley Trail, much work has been achieved through the land reclamation of the area. The Carvale Nature Reserve and Peter Fiddler Reserves being most excellent examples of the amazing transformation that can be achieved through dedication and hard work. The trail itself is mostly flat and easy going, with only very minor inclines that would cause no hardship, and the whole track bed and the paths in the reserves are solid. The Stockley Trail boasts several ponds supporting wildlife and two quite large dedicated nature reserves over a distance of a mere 5 kilometres, about 3 miles. Pretty impressive, I think.